and
That's lovely.
things over. And welcome to Together Unlocked. As you can tell, we've had a few technical problems today, gremlins in the internet again, so apologies for starting a little bit late. I'm Ju Gosling, artist and artistic director of Together 2012. With me in my East London studio is the artist and Together 2012 chair, Julie Newman. But let's go over to the other end of our long virtual sofa first, to the West Midlands, and for some introductions and some audio description.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I'm Robin Surgeonator, co-host of Together TV Unlocked, um, up here in the West Midlands. I just describe myself briefly. I have very long lockdown hair now. It's even starting to annoy me in places, so that's saying something. I wear no rimmed silver armed glasses, um, and today I am wearing a black polo shirt with the word angry fish in larger letters on the right breast. I can't even read what the rest of it says. Left breast, even.
I am Josh Surgeonator. I'm one of the hosts of Together TV, and I am a doctoral research student. I also have rather long now and unruly at the best of times blonde hair, and it's currently, as the adverts, the shampoo say, it's been boosted in its volume, so it's really not cooperating with me at all in staying out of my eyes or my nose. If I keep sneezing, I apologise. And I am wearing a blue USA basketball jacket.
This is just not the life you were expecting to be leading 6 months ago, is it, Josh? We're losing you slightly from the screen. I'm afraid at this end, our monitor and camera has died, so bear with us because we're using the laptop to film. So, this is brought to you by Together 2012. We're a disabled led arts organisation based in the main London 2012 host borough of Newham. We usually run a free year round clubs program every weekday morning for disabled people and whoever they want to bring with them. And we run a month-long Disability History Month festival in November, December, and also an enhanced program over the summer holidays to develop locally based disabled artists. At the moment, we're running a join in from home program, of which this is part. We're going to tell you a bit more about that later. But Julie, we are delighted to say for just the second week running, our usual Wednesday morning pop up poetry club has transferred successfully as a phone group. You may ask, if you're watching this, why we're not doing it on the Zoom, and the answer is that most of the participants don't have data or indeed internet access or devices. If you'd like to join in with the Pop Up Poetry Club, then our contact details are crawling across the screen, as they say, at the bottom at the moment, and you can email us on info or tv at together2012.org.uk. So, how did poetry go this morning, Julie?
I'm okay, but do you want to tell us what you're wearing?
Completely forgot. Thank you for that. Rushing ahead to try and make up for the time. I have a short self-inflicted corona crop, hennaed red, black framed glasses and wrist braces, silver jewellery, and a luminous, practically green polo shirt. How about you?
Battery powered.
Battery powered, yeah. She's the one that keeps going on.
I meant the shirt.
It's funny, talking about descriptions. Every time you come to Silver Arms, Robin, in your description of your glasses, I get this awful image of you with little silver arms and sort of like think, how clever. I wish I had silver arms. My glasses are just dark. They're dark framed. I have not quite like Josh. I have silver and gold hair. I think his hair is actually very gold today. It's shining in the light. And today I'm wearing a black based t-shirt with sort of spacey type images on it, just for the heck of it, because it's not Friday.
And in fact, when I was looking up on what days this day is an anniversary for, because as always on this show, we look at, is it a special week? Is it a special month? Is it a special day? We don't want to forget about time passing. The only interesting fact I could find about the 22nd of July is that 71 years ago, what's reputed to be the worst film in the world was premiered, and that's called Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is very much a B movie, sci fi movie. I remember seeing it back in the early 80s, and I actually remember a university friend writing a song about it with that title for his university band. It's particularly noticeable for the fact that Bela Lugosi, as a star of the time, appeared in it but had already died. So they used footage that he'd shot previously and then brought in somebody to just shoot one quick scene who didn't look the slightest bit like him. That's not even the main reason why it's considered the worst film ever made, but that is the fact for today, and it's about as close as I can get to a link with Julie's t-shirt. So, Julie, how about telling us how poetry went this morning, and then we'll read some poems.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was really nice. There was somebody who'd come on who hadn't spoken to sort of since the beginning of the lockdown for us, so that was a real treat. That was Crystal, our Crystal, who's a wonderful poet and a very active participant of our club. Um, we had uh, we had a couple of regulars, which was nice. And we're building it up sort of slowly. I think altogether we must have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 people. Uh,
That's good.
Which is great.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to work quite well. I think, sort of the first half of the show, all of it is led by Alison Marchant, who's our international artist working as our program director, and she does a cracking job. She sets a theme from week to week. So next week's theme is green spaces, and that can be a plant on a windowsill, even. Sort of like it's just to get people to think a little bit beyond the confines of four walls, and to think about something green and growing. But the first half of the session, which starts at 10:30, is reading poems that either we've written or relate in some way to the theme of the week. And then everybody says goodbye for half an hour and goes off and scribbles frantically and comes back, actually either reading something that already written or something that's been freshly written. Mostly it's been freshly written, I have to say, which is, I think, very impressive to write a poem in half an hour. And one of the joys of this particular group is that the not only is the membership diverse, but the poems are extremely diverse.
Yes, I mean, I think we've got 6 or 7 that we're going to read. This week's theme was memories, wasn't it? Was that the theme set last week or set
Yes.
this morning?
No, it was set last week by Alison for today.
So, what we would like to encourage you to do as viewers is write your own poems on that theme and send them to us for next week as well. So, that will be the theme of green spaces. But today's theme, like I say, was memories. And I understand you wrote a poem. Do you want to start by reading that to us, Julie?
That's a bit embarrassing, but I can do so. Uh, I'd started off by thinking about it and thinking I don't really know how to approach this. I don't know how to get a handle on it, and so I did it sort of more or less in the third person. In actual fact, this is memories. He looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, I can't remember when we last met. Was it June or in September? I think we were outside with grass all around, long and green, perhaps in a park or somewhere closer to home. My memory's fading, and since it's been such a long time since we sat and talked about the places we wanted to see, a world we could find, and how we would fly with the wings of a bird in the heavens above. He smiled and said with a sigh, I never did get there, but stayed here on earth and travelled no further than where we are now. And in truth, it seems too far away to make a difference in my life day by day. But it was lovely to see you, and thank you again for making the effort and being my friend. I'm sure I remember in the dead of night, but the day brings the clouds that cover my sight.
Wow,
Cool.
you do all of that in half an hour?
Well, actually, 20 minutes. It's a bit unedited. Please forgive.
No, that is very impressive. I mean, a lot of the poems that I've written in the pop up poetry club. There's nothing like kind of focusing your mind and just getting something down. And quite often I'll go on and continue writing them for 2 or 3 days. So this is Taylor Henville, who's written a poem called School around the same theme of memories. Walking past my school many years later, I can still hear the sound of the creaking old wood floors and the smell of chips and turkey twizzlers wafting from the dining hall, and running round the playground playing tag or Mr. Wolf. And again, that's very evocative. Robin, I know you have one from, is it Duncan Bridgestock?
That's how I was going to pronounce it. Yeah, so I have a poem from Duncan Bridge-Scott, entitled simply Memories. Looking back hurts my neck, but heck, what a deck of cards, nostalgia. It's all in the past at last, a blast from the past. Look back in anger. What? In this old banger of a body? I'm mature, but not shoddy, and I don't listen to shawaddy waddy. Time passes, just a memory. Shall I put on the kettle? I'm in fine fettle. Love that.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Robin, and well done, Duncan. Josh, have you got a poem for us?
Yes, I've got a poem from Blake Jarrett Gibbons. And Blake, I know you're watching, so hopefully I do it justice. Isn't it strange how our memories can be so practical? Memorizing past words, things we have read and seen, other details too. For me, going from Paddington to Maida Vale, I've memorised third carriage from the front back single door. That's my exit. Walking the escalators, that can be like walking up memory lane. A piece of art on the side of the building, or the front, or a building in itself, you memorise to remember where you are. The Shard is next to me in Guy's Hospital one side. I'm by Tower Bridge Station. I see a station with 19 platforms, but it's only got 2 terminus platforms. Some trains are green in colour, some blue and red and blue, some white and orange. Yes, I'm at Clapham Junction. I memorised that from having used the station often. I was underground and I remember travelling east and coming out into the open. Sometimes the rain, sometimes sunlight, sometimes the darkening sky or even a dark sky. But floods of light from electrical lights. To my left, another platform, between stairs and escalators, and to my right, the bus station. I travel away from the built up areas and away into countryside. Hang on, I'm sensing and smelling fermenting fruit, and I can see the fields of fruit trees. I'm at a cider farm. The feel of sand under my feet, the odd puff of breeze, and how it loops around in those waves, some soft, some crashing with a memorizing splash. The slight differences or big differences take me out and away to different beaches and coastlines. The different vibes all lock memories, details. Hang on, where am I? I smell fuel, petrol station filling up before we drive away to create more memories. A go-kart track ready to race. It's neither of those. But I can smell fuel. What can I see? I'm in a station. I can smell warm diesel as the bigger locomotives able to pull trains in and out of the station. I see newer trains too, some long, some short, all going to different places. Under feet is a solid floor. I can see the information gantries by the platforms and the ticket office too. Where will I be taken now? Where will I go? I'm going somewhere. It's time to make more memories.
Oh, that's absolutely great. Blake Jarrett Gibbons was our very first volunteer back in 2012 and has volunteered off and on in between his different studies and jobs since then. The only thing we would like better is if you want to make a video of your next poem and send it in, or indeed, as I can see you're watching, join us and read it live. So, Julie, you have one from Alison Marchant, who, as you say, is our club's program leader and an international installation artist in her own right.
I do. I mean, Alison wanted to contribute this because she was part of the group. And as I said earlier, I think the the poems are so different from each person, and they do stimulate a lot of thought. I'm sure Blake would agree with that. This is Alison's notes for a potential piece of work, and it's memories sketch for an installation. There's a black and white family photograph of my mother and uncle in sharp suits standing in Epping Forest. One day I'm going to enlarge the photograph and mount it into the back of a 1940s wardrobe like a huge picture frame. And I just think that is so evocative. I mean, we talked about it, and she was saying that she didn't have the space in her home to have a 1940s wardrobe. So somebody suggested doing it in miniature for a doll's house, and she's actually thinking about that as something potentially that she could do. But it's lovely to see, excuse me, the sparks of inspiration coming from each person, and us all following our own paths. I think it's a very nice way to share creativity.
I think there's so much to be said for the environments that we create, which are completely open, as accessible and inclusive as we can make them, and safe. We have a very
Yeah.
strong safer spaces policy. We're not there to tear each other down, we're there to support each other and support that development. So, finally, this is a poem from Dawn Barber, who is another person actually who's been really coming to things since 2012 onwards and also volunteering since 2012 onwards. But Dawn only has a landline and no connectivity to the internet, so it's just great to be in touch with Dawn again through the phone group. And this is called Stan, and like a lot of Dawn's poems, it's a little story and it's a little bit funny. His name was Stan, he lived on a farm, he worked very hard, he loved all his animals. First thing in the morning, he would moo to the cows, quack quack to the ducks, oink oink to the pigs, and then he would give them their food. His animals were his life. His wife would stand and watch and laugh out loud, but she loved every minute. Stan, she would say, you're the man that fills me with happiness. So thank you for that, Dawn. Usually, we would hope at this point to open up the discussion and have our virtual writer in residence, the poet Penny Pepper, with us, but she's a bit under the weather and still writing to her publisher's deadline. So, hopefully, we'll have Penny back with us next week to reflect on that. How do you find it in terms of techniques, Robin? Do you mostly write on your own or have you written as part of groups? I know you run your own course occasionally. Is it permission to perform? I don't know if you'd like to tell us a bit more about that.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, so permission to perform or permission to speak, actually, in terms of the poetry, was something I initiated. I don't know, probably 12 years ago. Something, doesn't matter when. Um, the idea was very much about bringing people together who who might have written, but particularly might not have done, and literally kind of saying to people, "It's cool, write about yourself." Get them creating that safe space that you talk about, which is really, really important, and kind of making sure that people realize there isn't a judgment on what they're writing, how they're writing it, whether somebody else writes the words for them, whether they read it. All of those things go out, aren't important. What is important is actually finding that voice. And if at the end of the day, if somebody comes and all they want to write is, ah, that's fine, because that's absolutely what you want. It's them, it's their voice. So kind of two ways. I mean, that way I would often use my poetry and kind of free thinking sessions, or put up a flip chart and say all the things that you that come into your head, or how you're feeling now, or what you had for breakfast, or whatever it is, to kind of give just lots of ideas. And then I might throw a couple of sentences together and say, well, you could start like this, or you could think about it in this way. In terms of my own poetry, I do pretty much write alone, although within those sessions you do get inspired to write. But then we have also, I've done it two other ways. One is where you do collaboratively kind of get someone to write a line, and then as a group say, right, you write the next line but share it. And then another way, which can be really, really interesting, is you take the title, like Memories, and then we used to play a game as kids called Consequences, when you would write a sentence and fold the page over, and then write another sentence and fold the page over. But doing that in a poetry workshop, where you'd have that title and you would write your first line, fold it over, pass it on, and then what you would get would be this kind of uh, mosaic, I guess, a poetry mosaic put together. And sometimes the lines would create the most amazing images. So yeah, I mean, lots of different techniques, but that's quite a fun one. I did that a lot with some schoolwork that I did, and the kids absolutely loved that.
Yes, I mean, when we've done work with young people with the Pop Up Poetry Club, I think it's been those messages of, and sorry, educators, but the writing doesn't matter, the spelling doesn't matter, the grammar doesn't matter. It's all about the expression. And once you
Yes.
free people up, it's just incredible what comes out, really. I mean, like I say, I've written probably the majority of the poems over my lifetime. I've written over the last 5 or 6 years with the Pop Up Poetry Club, and really only last year started reading them anywhere else. So tomorrow night I'm appearing at the Survivors Poetry Lockdown Zoom. I think it's their lockdown lounge. We've talked about Survivors Poetry before as a national organisation that was set up in the 20th century by a group of people who were users and survivors of the mental health system. It's been going in one form or other ever since, hasn't it? And the London group would usually have a monthly session at the Poetry Cafe in Covent Garden, which is not a venue that I can access as a Blue Badge user and wheelchair user. So I've been really delighted the last couple of months to be able to go to it online, where it's also free. And I've been thrilled but slightly terrified to be one of their two guest poets tomorrow. They offer floor spots to everybody who attends. We have a highlights and links page on our website, www.together2012.org.uk. It's just under the main link for Together Unlocked. And what I'm going to do is put the details up there along with the videos that we show today and links to anything else we talk about. So if anybody is interested in coming to Survivors Poetry tomorrow night, I'm ashamed to say that I don't know who the other guest poet is, but there'll be a very welcoming group of mostly quite experienced, but also emerging poets and people who are just interested in poetry. And they, I'm delighted to say, are going to become part of the Together Disability History Month Festival. So we will be doing a survivors lockdown lounge together in November, where we will also have BSL interpretation and live captioning. So I'm already really looking forward to that. I'm slightly terrified, like I say, about tomorrow, but please come along and give me some support. I'm going to put a short video on now, which will just tell you a bit more about the Join In From Home program, of which this is part, and tell you some more about, in particular, the poetry activities and the family activities with the so called school holidays coming up that you can enjoy free from our website. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. All of our activities can be enjoyed by families at home, but we also have some of our favourite activities here from our family activity days, which we usually hold in the school holidays. Card making with pens, stickers and paper is also popular. You can show someone you're thinking of them by making them a special card, and if it can't be delivered safely, then send a photograph with a personal message or keep it till later. Here we have instructions for making a sock puppet, a storage jar or night light, or a lunchbox or storage box, all of which are really popular with our family activity days, and you can click on each of these links to get full instructions. So with the sock puppet, for example, you have lots of instructions with photographs to show you exactly what to do. Same with the storage jar. And same with the lunchbox or storage box. And you can see how effective it is just to use very, very simple techniques. Everyone is completely unique. The Pop-Up Poetry Club meets on a Wednesday morning. We also run regular poetry projects and poetry cafes. We're inviting you to write or sign a poem on the theme of Together and send it to us to share on social media. We're also going to be publishing an anthology of the Together poems in November, and everybody who contributes will get a copy of the physical book. And here we are again. So please do send us in your poems on the theme of Together and on any other theme you like. And next week it's green spaces.
I'm just reading Blake's message of encouragement to you, Ju, which is he's saying you will survive strongly, and you've put a hand in front of it. All right, and pull through, Ju. This is you, and it's true. Ju, this is you.
Thank you very much for that, Blake Jarrett Gibbons. Much appreciated. So I think we are due next to have a look at the outside world as usual through the eyes of your assistance dog. If you're squinting away at the schedule, which has had to be moved because of the failure of our usual equipment, do you want to introduce that again?
Yes, every week, Precious, my assistant's dog, puts her camera harness on, and we set up the camera for her, and she potters outside and checks the garden to see if anything's changed or if her friends are out there. And really, because I haven't been able to get out for such a long time, she's my little eyes and ears when she pops out on my behalf. It's all very silly because nothing really changes very much except when Ju does some gardening.
I was going to say, I resent that for people who haven't seen the show before. I have a very small garden, and in most of it, it is impossible to socially distance. And it's pretty much been set up so that I can also work out there as well. But between it dawning on me slowly that nobody was going to come round to help me do heavy work in the garden for some time to come, and the fact that if I moved things around, there was somewhere we could sit safely, I've actually been doing quite a lot of gardening, as the pain in my fingers reminds me. And yeah, it's moving around. I'm also planning, because Precious has been doing these shoots since April, at some point to just go back, because my guess is that although it doesn't look like it's changing much from week to week, if we speed the whole thing up and edit it together, it might be quite different. So anyway, let's find out what Precious got up to this week.
It would certainly be funnier. Precious at speed. Here she goes. Here she goes. And Precious is sitting outside the back door. She's having a look around. She's following her brother over and having a sniff because things have changed. So it's a little bit different. There's a new um, little paving slab there, and brother's having a look around to see if anything's changed over his way. So she's going forward and just coming back to the door and having a think about it again.
Admiring our tomatoes.
Indeed, she's having a good old look at the tomato plant. And again, just thinking about it, was it like this last time? I don't know. It might have been, but it seems different to me. I can't work out what's changed. I think maybe it's the bench which has moved. Oh yes, 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 it has. It wasn't there before. Oh right. Yes, I think it has changed. I quite like it there actually. It's much better and much handier for me because it's in the shade. But I don't really like it very much because the slats are always tricky under paw. Just so it's nice to have the breeze. Oh, that's a fly? Oh, was it a fly or a bee? I don't know. I can't tell the difference really. It's very difficult if you've not got any reference point. Oh, I don't know where Mummy is. She usually opens the door for me at this stage, but the door is shut. Maybe it'll open in a minute. Mummy, Mummy, I want the door open. Oh, and the breeze is nice though. It is lovely, and I do enjoy the sunshine. Oh, here she is.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Part of the time I look at that and I think, oh my goodness, the state of my back door. And in this case, oh my goodness, my tomatoes are wilting and I won't have time to water them yet. But you'll be relieved to know, everybody else, that Staraplergia from Act Up Newham, whose assistant's dog Merlot, we have seen quite often on different films and videos popping in the same way that our animals pop randomly in and out, has got a camera for her dog now. Merlot has been training and they are moving temporarily over the summer to isolate themselves in a woodland in Norfolk. So we will still soon be seeing some real nature, as it were. But I have to say, it feels pretty real if you haven't been out for 4 months just to have a little back garden. And now we've moved the bench. Once we manage to mend it, we will actually have a socially distanced seat. So we will have the slightly ludicrous thing of nipping out of the kitchen door in full 1 meter plus social distancing masks and so on, and then sitting kind of 2 feet away on our bench and taking that stuff off and then going back in again. But hey, that's 2020 for you. We all wanted a brand new decade with everything changed, and that's what
We got one.
exactly, that's what we've got. So we are also, for anybody new to this show, reduced in terms of competition to racing clockwork toys to see which of our two teddy bears gets to wear a gold medal this week. It's seriously, in as much as you can ever discuss seriously, teddy bears, part of the virtual bear hunt, which is going on worldwide for young people to do the bear hunt who are not going out on walks and looking at teddy bears in the window. If you haven't heard of this, it's very much linked back to Sir Michael Rosen's book. It started while Sir Michael Rosen was ill with coronavirus himself. So if you've got a teddy bear and you've got a window onto the street, why not stick the bear there for children and young people to count? We have brought back our Edward Bear. He says Ted Fringe, which I got when I took an exhibition up to the Edinburgh Festival. And Ted is very keen to compete. He's competing, as always, for the only medal we own, which is a gold plastic one provided by the mayor during London 2012.
And if you can hear that, that is Evie, who is our teddy today, saying Evie because she is a Pokemon called Evie.
So it's not a bear, but it's still a teddy. Thank you.
It's very soft.
So the Surgeoners haven't managed to point out yet this week that they're the most competitive family in the world. Suffice it to say that Robin is a Paralympian. But this time I'm trying to get it a little bit fairer. So, do you want the toy in my right hand or the toy in my left hand?
But is this as we look at you or your
So
actual
this is
left?
We're
my
going for the toy that is
hand.
closest to the wall. If you're on your landing, there's the wall and the banister. We're going for the wall side.
Which is your right hand.
No, you've got to go right hand or left
There
hand.
with your right hand.
One that
Yeah,
you
your right hand.
balance is fair enough. Right.
Your right hand closest to the wall.
Right-handed.
Well, they probably are right. Who's
They're
to say?
cheating.
I have no short-term memory, so although I film these on a Wednesday lunchtime, I don't remember. But considering their bear always wins, or
They cheat.
what's yes, I was going to say, what's the score at the moment, Josh and Robin?
It's impossible to cheat, but I think it's about how many weeks have we been on air?
Lots.
It's about 11-4 or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly. And this is a random thing of chance. So somewhere along the line, like any good person, you've learned how to manipulate it. Let me see if I can find
yes, we make you deliberately put the better one in the hand we choose.
Any
It's,
good mathematician will tell you true randomness is not random.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You're not doing it randomly. You're going, oh, that's the side we meant, or you're remembering which colour goes.
nah,
Well,
no.
Now,
all right,
anyway,
I'm going to leave
onto
it
the
to you to
competition.
do the commentary.
So it's the green one. We can see that from here. Well, it's very small from here, but we're talking the green one here. The green one appears to be taking the lead, which was released from Juice's right hand. Although no, they're diverging now. So one is going off to the left. The green one seems to be completely lost, whilst the orange one is making a very, very good spectacle of himself or herself or itself. So actually, on this occasion, I think that, and assuming we're going purely on straightforward distance, then in fact, although I can see the green one still going, but I don't know where it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, look at that obstacle put in the way. Oh, go on, back, go across. Sorry.
I mean, up until that final thing, I think we were going to give you the victory, and then
you showed us
because
in
we
fact-
disappeared, and you showed us that we'd reached the finish
So
line.
we won. Yay! Oh dear.
Which medal from your massive family collection is your teddy bearing?
Oh, sorry. This
Well,
one.
we've got two. There you go.
Oh, here we
This
have
is one of Emily's medals.
Yeah, this is one of Emily's from the ASA Northwest Regional Championships. Little bronze medal she picked up somewhere down the line.
Wicked. That's so.
Only because I couldn't find the gold one in the drawer.
So there we go.
It must be so dreadful when you've got so many medals you can't find them all. So this brings us on nicely to our sports section, which is really a gaming section, but we also talk about what's available online and on the TV. There was no sport at all when we started this spot, and you know what? Actually, for everything that's being reported, mostly we're still dependent on virtual sport. So over to you for a bit of a roundup, Josh.
So the first thing we wanted to talk about in terms of sport was an upcoming event, in that it's kind of October and November of next year. So you've got plenty of time to plan to be free. But it is the 2021 Rugby League World Cup, which is being held in England next year. But they are running the men's tournament, the women's tournament, and the wheelchair Rugby League World Cups concurrently as one event in England. The wheelchair rugby is predominantly going to be held at the Copper Box, which is actually in the Olympic Park, just around the corner from you guys. And then they're hosting a lot of it in the Liverpool Arena as well, I believe. And they're doing lots of kind of double headers so that you can kind of see multiple games, and it's all going to be available on the BBC kind of every game, so which is great news.
Dates again, Josh?
It is the 23rd of October, I believe, to the 27th of November.
2021 though.
2021, yeah, it's kind of end of October to mid to end of November.
I'm just really
next year.
chuffed that it's going to be East London and Liverpool because we've been so badly hit by COVID. We know we're facing a difficult winter. We very much hope life's going to be massively improved a year come the autumn. So that should be a really great celebration for our communities to be able to host.
And how exciting, excuse me, that it's being shown concurrently. I think, Josh, that's a really excellent thing to highlight, because certainly the Commonwealth Games always are, aren't they? But it's unusual in sport to have women wheelchair users and men's games all at the same time. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, especially in terms of a kind of single sport event. So the Rugby World Cup or the Football World Cup, there's a men's World Cup that happens somewhere in the world, a women's World Cup that happens another year somewhere else in the world. And I think by having them, there's always arguments of things being together and not. But I think if it's run properly, they can kind of get the audience from the men's rugby league stuff and go, oh well, let's see what else is on. See what's going on in the other side of the tournament, and hopefully it will be able to kind of boost the profile of disability sport and women's sport as well.
Well, wheelchair rugby is certainly very, very spectacular, and it's one of the things we've talked about, hasn't it? The drama and the theatre of sport. I was just thinking about it. You're not the only Paralympian I know who's also a leading artist. And Christina Vesey, who's sent us in quite a number of films to the film festival in the past, is just another one I can think of. We often say there's not a great deal of division between art and sport, but I think Paralympians in particular tend to be unsurprisingly pretty creative people.
Well, my guess is, Robin, you've had to be, haven't you?
Oh, that might be a matter of opinion. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that perhaps in the Paralympic world, you have more opportunity or even more desire to be able to express who you are, because you're not necessarily able to express your sporting prowess and get the recognition, maybe, in your and so a lot of my drive at different points has been around actually being a hugely successful Paralympian, but there being no representation of that, or no good representation of it historically. And so there is that frustration of being like, well, hold on, you've just done really, really well at some kind of world level event, and other than Camberley News, which was my local rag at that time, nothing. And so some of those frustrations, but at the same time, I mean, it's funny because actually quite a lot of our swimmers, the better swimmers, are also really good musicians. There does seem to, and it's whether or not you have the capacity, certainly elite able-bodied sport have the capacity to be both at the same time. I mean,
yeah, I think it's probably a commitment thing to practice.
I mean, I know
is part of it.
One of the American swimmers is an incredible pianist.
Yeah, Lily King she's the world record holder in 100 breast, able-bodied swimmer. But yeah, she's an amazing pianist, and she just taught herself because she wanted to learn.
Yeah, and I think so. There's a lot of crossover in the
natural talent,
in the skills that you need to be a good sports person to also be a good artist.
It's funny how artists are always set against other people, isn't it? I did an 18-month part-time residency back in the noughties at the National Institute of Medical Research. So that kind of division between artists and scientists. And what I realized was that we needed the identical skills, and we had tons in common and loads more in common than artists might have with professions that people would see as being more similar.
Yeah.
But anyway, Josh, I know we'll continue this conversation. What else have you got for us?
Very quickly, and I'll move straight on from it. Tomorrow marks 1 year until the Olympics are supposed to start, and 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day until the Paralympics are supposed to start next year. But the other kind of big sports thing, it's not a sporting story as such, but I came across it from a sporting avenue. The Brazilian Paralympic Committee have just kind of signed a new partnership deal with an app called Be My Eyes, which they're using to kind of better help their blind and visually impaired athletes, whether that's with kind of training things when they can't be there to physically correct stuff. But it's an app that was created by a Danish guy called Hans-Jørgen Viberg. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that remotely close to what it actually is, who is a blind guy himself, and he's created an app that's on your phone called Be My Eyes. That basically, if you need to borrow somebody's eyes, to check the date on your milk, or which of these tins is the tin of tomatoes that you need to put into your dinner or whatever. I think at the moment there's just shy of 4 million volunteers. And yeah, you just kind of pick up your phone, open the app, press the button, a volunteer will answer it, deal with your question, and then you're like, right, thanks. And I think it was, yes, I came across it from a sporting story in the Paralympic side of things, but actually for a wider thing for people that are watching the show that are blind or visually impaired, you don't have to go and ask your neighbour or phone your family friend or whatever. There's just someone there that's waiting and, to help. I thought it was a really, really cool idea.
Yes, and I realised that I'd read about this before and I'd completely forgotten about it and hadn't thought about it in the context of coronavirus, where you're absolutely right, is so much safer. And the app launches the camera. So you've literally just got to point the phone once you've launched the app. And for anybody volunteering, it's a great thing to do. I think it's quite intermittent. It's a bit like Skype. If you're available, you switch it on. You may or may not get a call. And I think because there's lots of volunteers, the number of calls per volunteer are relatively low, but it's a brilliant thing to be able to do, to just go, oh yeah, the one on the right is the tin of beans, or in your case, well, we meant the right hand side of the screen, or your right hand, or what we thought was
The
your
one
right hand.
closest to the wall. Or...
Yeah, maybe don't volunteer too soon.
Libel, absolute libel.
So what have you got for us in the gaming world, Josh?
Yeah, actually, in terms of gaming, even though I am the resident gamer, if you like, I'm going to hand over to Dad, or Robin, as you know him.
You call me Dad if you want.
I'll call you lots of things. But yeah, because he's been doing a little bit more of some gaming this week, so I'll let him jump on.
Well, yeah, so we kind of tasked ourselves last week with trying to find some kind of games. We thought we would be able to look at Xbox or whatever games that were Olympic focused, and that's proved not to be the case because they haven't come out recently. But I thought, well, there's got to be stuff out there, and I've actually found two websites, which Josh said, oh, no one will want to play those. They're flash games, but which is a kind of media, I believe. Very simple sort of online animation stuff. But I've sent the links to Julia already to go on the site. But one is called Kids World Fun Sports Games, and that's actually a part of a bigger educational site. And another one is called Teamopolis. Again, the link is there. But basically, they're really silly little games where you use your keyboards to press M and N to run, and A to throw the javelin, for example. And they're just silly games. But I sat there, I got shouted at because I was trying all these games out and being really, my digital ineptness in terms of gaming hasn't improved any, but at least there's less things to get wrong. But this is just really fun little things that if we all have, no, we don't all have. Many people have little games on their phones, for example, when you're waiting for the bus. It's that kind of level of game, but it's fun, but still competitive. And there's football, there's boxing, there's basketball, there was javelin, there was like this whole host of little games. And I just thought, and it's free, subject to having internet, I accept, but they're all free games. And actually, once you start the sports ones, then there's, I think, like umpteen pages of other things. But I just thought it was really good because you don't have to have some kind of incredible game skill level to actually do these things. They're just fun, And I was doing the javelin, for example, and I think out of 15 attempts, only 2 of them were legal throws, because it's like just because I was rubbish, but fun rubbish rather than annoying rubbish.
Well, that sounds great because, yes, you challenged us and we accepted to play virtual sports that we could do for free and for online that qualified for the Olympics. I think we chose the Olympics because the Paralympic sports are a bit more limited, aren't they? There's a shorter list.
Yeah.
And there's such a variety of sports. I was thinking about what you were saying earlier about not getting any coverage beyond the local paper when you got gold medals. But there's some very unsexy sports in both Paralympian terms and Olympian terms, aren't there? And people who sort of come and go and do their kind of 5 o'clock in the morning starts for years and years and years, and really kind of unnoticed by anybody, including their neighbours. Maybe we could
What do
start
you
with
mean?
I'll give you a classic example because Julie and I were both involved in the run up to London 2012. They decided that you couldn't promote boccia. And boccia is a form of bowls played by people with cerebral palsy. And they were very, very strongly of the opinion they wanted to promote this idea of disabled people as superhuman. And therefore, kind of amputees doing gymnastics and so on, but people who needed everything facilitated for them, even though boccia is incredibly difficult. It's a very, very precise sport, like a lot of bowls. So that's just one example where the Paralympic Committee themselves decided that boccia wasn't very sexy.
And I have to say, and if you hadn't said that, my next thing was going to be about boccia. I have been to 3 Paralympic Games, and I have chosen at each of them to go and watch boccia, because if you've got no dexterity issues, your hands all and arms work fine, maybe you can do it and go, well, that's easy. But actually seeing the concentration levels, the mind overcoming limbs that want to do something completely different to what you want them to do, and seeing that working, and seeing these great shots being made, and where shots are being done and they use a piece of guttering as a shoot, but getting the precision on that shoot to get the ball in the right place, when actually simply holding the ball is hard enough. Just for me, that was as great a individual sporting accomplishments as actually me winning a gold in the pool.
Well, absolutely. And I'm proud to say that as part of our Together 2012 festival, which was supposed to be a one off for 2012, and here we are 8 years later. But one of the things we did is we took the Advice Arcade in the centre of Stratford and turned it into the UK Disabled People's Council's house, as it were. And we had an exhibition of huge portraits in the windows, including a boccia player. So in fact, boccia was very prominently featured in the middle of Stratford, despite the best efforts of the IPC. But I was actually thinking about things like shooting, which, are also kind of very interesting, but actually have got quite limited audiences. However, we've got 3 minutes to go till it's 4 o'clock. So, do we have any other sport or gaming from the West Midlands?
Not really.
Yeah.
We're kind of exhausted here. Really.
There was a quick anniversary that Josh had found earlier.
Which one is
the Statue of Liberty one? I thought.
Today is the 171st birthday of Emma Lazarus, who was a poet who grew up in New York, and she wrote a sonnet in 1883, and then part of which was put on a plaque in the pedestal at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, and it's been there since 1903. I just thought that was quite a cool thing.
Yeah, and you're certainly looking up better facts than me, who could only find out about the premiere of Plan 9 from Outer Space in 9. Blake Jarrett Gibbons on the live chat is saying, away from the Olympics, the BBC now has Nicholas Hamilton racing for another season. Nicholas has various disabilities and is fantastic. If you've not heard of him, please look him up. He's been very fast in the British Touring Car Championships on the BBC. So again,
Runs in the family, that being
Yeah,
fast at
he's Lewis'
driving,
brother,
doesn't it?
isn't he?
Yeah, so I
Well,
think
it's his
is
brother.
a cousin, or
His brother.
is it his brother?
Yeah.
Of Lewis Hamilton.
and I remember his brother learning on gaming. There's so much crossover. I mean, I know one of the things we look at in our Arts Award program, which I will have to come back to next time, is design, whether it's car design, train design, engine design. All of those things are also part of the creative arts, and so is the drama and the theatre and the spectacle. We're just not used to thinking about it like that. On Friday, we will start with our usual Friday feature where we dress up to go out to stay in. We might, as time goes on, start dressing up to go out as well, but I think the number of places we'll be going are still fairly limited, and we can have a bit more fun dressing up to go out to stay in, because then we can dress for whatever we like, including fancy dress, bottom of the sea. Julie wants to go to space, but she's only got a t-shirt. But eventually, I think we'll have the entire suit. We also do quite a few recommendations, something for the weekend that you might want to do online, offline, or on the TV. And we look at art forms, including music. We're going to have a carnival special on Friday because we have a film from our associate drama company, Act Up Newham, about carnival. And this time of year, we would be literally this week starting our summer carnival program. We're still going to do some carnival stuff. It's going to be a bit later in the year, but I'll tell you all about that on Friday. And in the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Thank you for coming along, and particularly to Blake for being so actively part of the show today. It's lovely to have you.
Well, it's goodbye from me.
And me.
And it's goodbye from him.